So we're going to play Diddy's apology.
It's so difficult to reflect on the darkest times in your life. Sometimes you got to do that.
First of all, the fact that he still talks like he's from the street is such a joke. He's not from the street. So let me just clarify that for all of you out there who think that Diddy is like some hard gangster from the hood. He isn't. He actually grew up in a suburb in Westchester County, New York. Now, there is a bad part of the town that he lived in, and the only reason I know that is because I live there. He was raised in Mount Vernon, New York. He's not from the hood like Tupac. He's not from the hood like Biggie Smalls. He's not from the hood like Snoop or Dr. Dre or Eminem. He's not even a talent, which is always the most bizarre thing about this man. I know he wants to call himself a rapper, Sable, but I'm certainly not calling him that. What I would call him is an influencer in the truest sense. Or as he fancied himself as somewhat of a godfather. That's kind of how he saw himself. And he acted the part to a T. And so here he is with the act being put on with the tears and the, oh man, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to do this. And it's like, you did this back in 2016 and you're apologizing now for footage that came out that you thought was destroyed by the hotel that you paid off to destroy it. Now, they probably took it away, but they just put it in a safe deposit box for in case the day came along where they were going to need to present evidence of just how bad of a human you really are. And shame on them for holding it for as long as they did, but we'll continue.
I was fucked up. I mean, I hit rock bottom, but I made no excuses. My behavior on that video is inexcusable. I take full responsibility for my actions in that video. I'm disgusted. I was disgusted then when I did it. I'm disgusted now.
No, you're not. In fact, what is so perplexing here is that apparently this video, which he just recorded, he's apparently in Bali. And if that's true, then why would he come back to the United States? I mean, even if they put an arrest warrant out for him, why would he come back? This is the thing about being at that level. You have an incredible ability to skate on the law. And there is no statute of limitations. There is a statute of limitations, so he cannot be prosecuted for the violent assault. But of course, that's only one of many stories that have been coming out about this man and what he has done. You know, I grew up, as I mentioned, at a time where Diddy was coming up in terms of being a powerhouse. I never liked him. I never liked his shtick. And it's because I could tell that he was always full of shit like he is right now. He doesn't mean what he says. Again, he's just sorry he got caught. And remember, he's doing a recorded video. So whether he was prepped, coached, who knows what, but he certainly was prepared to put on a performance. And boy, oh boy, did he put on a performance. I got my tears going. I'm really, really sad. I'm sad that I hit a woman. I'm sorry I kicked a woman in the head and I bashed her brains in. I know I'm really sorry. Tony, it's great to have you here, brother. And that's 4 months doing something right. Got to keep that going. There is nothing redeemable about Sean Combs. Nothing. I'm not going to get into any conspiracies. I have my beliefs. I think he's involved with high crimes and misdemeanors, as the saying goes. They say crime doesn't pay, but for some it does. In his case, it paid a lot. We'll continue.
I went and I sought out professional help. I had to go into therapy and go into rehab. Had to ask God for his mercy and grace. I'm so sorry. But I'm committed to be a better man each and every day.
You're not a man. You're a bitch. And I would call you a bitch to your face. When I was younger, I had, we'll just say, a argument with Method Man. We were at a basketball game at the Meadowlands, the New Jersey Nets, and there was a kid who wanted his autograph. You know, he was a young kid. Could have been, first of all, how a young kid even knows who Method Man is kind of amazing, but he couldn't have been more than 10 years old. And Method Man wasn't sitting that far away, and he wanted his attention, but he didn't get it. But when the hot honey called him and wanted his attention, you better believe he got off his ass real fast. Came running over to her to chat her up. And I didn't hesitate. I'm like, you know what, dude? This kid's been calling your name. He just wants an autograph, and he tried to give me lip. And I'm like, dude, I ain't having your shit. I don't care who you are. Don't think you're above reproach. Don't think that you are too good to address a child. You know, he's just whatever. I truly don't think there are certain people who get to a level of success, and the hip hop industry is a whole other world because of what the message. And I'm not talking about just any hip hop. I'm not talking R&B. I'm talking specifically the gangster rap community and what their message is and what they cater to and what and the audience that they try to cultivate. They try to glorify criminal behavior, and that is beyond the pale. It's something that I very, very briefly dabbled in when I was a teenager, like a lot of kids in the 90s did. But I learned very quickly, this isn't the world I want to be a part of. And I know great hip-hop when I hear it. Chronic 2001 is still the best produced hip-hop album I've ever heard. Snoop was great. Tupac's the best hip-hop artist I ever heard, followed closely by Eminem. There is talent in the craft, but the lifestyle, what it preaches, and not all of them, but in many instances, is not the life you want to live. And the life that Diddy has been espousing for the longest time, that he's been living, this fantasy life that he created for himself, which had nothing to do with his ability to make music or write lyrics or produce. Hell, Don King as a boxing promoter has got more talent for what he's done than anything Diddy can ever claim that he did. He was just in the right place at the right time. That's really all it was. He was in the right place at the right time. And he got all the glory. He rode the coattails of both Tupac and Biggie Smalls, and he dated J-Lo. All happened at the right time. All of it. In the late 90s, it just came together between 97 and 99. All of it. And yet to this day, I do question some of the things he's been involved in and what hand he had. That's all I'm going to say. We'll finish it out.
But I'm committed to be a better man each and every day. I'm not asking for forgiveness.
Yes, you are.
I'm truly sorry.
Anybody that has to go through the motions and pauses and has to constantly be talking about I'm sorry. I apologize. Forgive me. It's a script. It's not genuine. There's nothing genuine about his statement. I would hope at this point that enough people who have followed him over the years would recognize that that is the case, that there is nothing redeemable about Sean Diddy Combs at all. He is the embodiment of everything. If you can trace everything that is wrong about hip hop culture, about the most negative stereotypes about Black Americans, he is it. Everything about him, the way he talks about women, the stories about his listen, if he's gay or if he's bisexual, I don't give a shit. What I care about is the constant rumors that he sexually abuses men and boys. And that's a real freaking problem. And you can find everyone who will make an excuse and say that he was plucked from obscurity when he went to work at, I think, was it Empire Records? I think it was. I'm never misspeaking. I know he created Bad Boy Records with the help of Clive Davis and one other gentleman. And you could say all you want about how this came to pass. All I know is that his behavior is abhorrent. And the way that he has been able to become a billionaire, I mean, listen, credit where credit's due, if you can even say that, because I tepidly say it, because like I said, talk to my friend James from New York, he would tell you, I don't want to give any credibility or credence to that man. I despise him with every fiber of my being. But he figured out a way. He figured out a way. He created a brand. He sold clothes like those velvet jumpsuits that had Diddy on them in purple. I did say velvet, so yeah, that's correct. But the thing about him, I mean, listen, like I said, there's nothing about Diddy that I ever liked. And you can ask my friend James, I have been on Diddy's ass since the late 90s, early 2000s. This is not a Johnny come lately type situation. I have always had it for this guy. I think he is an absolute despicable human being. I've always felt that like I said, his representation of Black America is the worst of the worst. And the way he sticks his nose in everything, the way that he shows up at events, the way that he puts himself in movies where he doesn't belong. I think back now to when he made an appearance in that movie Draft Day and how much I couldn't stand that. But the thing about Diddy that will always stand out the most for me is how he, in the mid to late 2000s, started peddling alcohol. And of course, he did it in the context of making it so that it had an urban context to it. Ciroc vodka. And he promoted that for all it was worth. And all he did was get on TV and show, you want a party like Diddy? Get yourself a bottle of Ciroc vodka and you'll be the life of the party. And all the while, alcohol has destroyed communities, especially communities of color, for generation after generation. And that son of a bitch has been out there for multiple decades promoting that shit. And no one ever spoke up and said, why the hell are we allowing this guy to be the spokesperson for the communities that suffer the most? All he's doing is making money off your backs. And that's all he did since the 1990s. He doesn't give a fuck about anyone but himself. And he's a no-talent shitbag who rode the talents of other people to get rich. And let me tell you, now's the time. Now the margin calls are coming because the opening is there. And listen, whether it's true or not that he had a hand in anybody leaving this earth, if you get my drift, the reputation was there. And that spoke to why so many people kept their mouths shut for so long, because in their mind, it's like, well, I can't say anything because it's not a question of me losing my career. I could lose my life. And I really don't want to go down that road. So fair enough. But now that the opening is there, there are a lot of people who are looking at it and saying, well, this is my shot. I'm taking it. And a lot of them are. The mother of his children is dead. and there is reasonable enough, what you would call circumstantial evidence, to suggest that maybe there was foul play involved and maybe he had something to do with it. Again, I don't know, and I'm not making any presumptions here, but his reputation is in the fucking shitter of the worst kind. Like I said, I've had it out for this guy forever, and he's finally going to get his day, and it's coming. Now, of course, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe his day's never going to come because, like I said, I'm pretty sure where he filmed that video, it was outside the country. That's my understanding. Why would he come back? He doesn't have, let me tell you something. The one thing about these guys, especially the ones that have gotten their money through ill-gotten means, they have got accounts set up all over the world. All over the world. You wouldn't even begin to understand this. And this is the thing that the average person doesn't understand about the rich. He could have a dozen bank accounts in another continent alone. So to suggest that he's got a plan would be an understatement. I only hope, this is my hope against all hope, is that this can set some type of precedent going forward for other people. So when you look at the abhorrent behavior, not just the stars, but the people that they hang around with and why they've been able to get away with it for so long, well, maybe now's the time to understand why they act the way that they do. The entertainment industry, whether it is in sports, whether it is in movies, whether it is in music, and probably especially music, you have to understand that it is a depraved world, and there are things that go on there that you really don't want to know about. But Diddy is really, really bad.